Over 2 months since Election Day, and President Biden still believes he and his vice president, Kamala Harris, could have beaten President-elect Trump.
I think I would have beaten Trump, could have beaten Trump, and I think that Kamala could have beaten Trump, would have beaten Trump. It wasn't about, I thought it was important to unify the party. And when the party was worried about whether or not I was going to be able to move.
Well, let's think about this. This is not a theoretical exercise.
Okay? Yeah.
Kamala could have beaten Trump, would have beaten Trump. She did not beat Trump, Rachel.
She did not beat Trump. I don't think he knows that Obama actually pushed him out. Like, I don't know if he even knows what's going on. But you know what I do believe? He says, I dropped out for unity. That's not true. He got pushed out. Everyone knows that. But people do want unity. And if you look at Donald Trump's party, the way he's remade it, he's got RFK Jr., Tulsi Gabbard, and he's got a multiracial working class party behind him. That's unity. So many of the issues, whether it's, anti-war or at least, putting America's interests first in the war question, whether it's, make America healthy again. There are so many issues that used to be Democrat issues that are now bipartisan issues. I think people are going to be really surprised. I think the second term is going to be about unity. Everything that Joe Biden promised he would do in the 2020, Donald Trump's going to do it in the next term.
And you see more Democrats coming on board.
Yeah.
10 more voted for the Lake and Riley Act this time around versus last.
And after this LA fire, when people look at what government's for, competence versus ideology, I think you're going to see more people coming over.
I agree with
without question. Emily, when Biden says he could have beaten Trump, I thought we'd pull up the data. So let's pull up the Real Clear Politics average. This is the last data set we have. And as you can see, Donald Trump would have beaten him, according to polls, by 3.1%, which is double what he beat Kamala by.
I think that is part and parcel with why he is so insulted and injured and wounded over being pushed out. I do believe he actually truly believes he could have beaten Trump. And then obviously the Kamala point, you guys heard me, I belly laughed. But the reality is, I think, in his temper tantrum that he's exhibiting now, in the dumpster fire that he is leaving President Trump, to me, that is his party ensuring that his legacy is indeed far, far, far left. And it's interesting because, to your point, I think that the rational, common sense Democrat voter, the moderates that represent hopefully the majority of that party, that they will come on board. They will see the positive effects, the benefits of the common sense GOP and Trump platform, right, that spreads to all boats lifting. But with their closing Gitmo, with the offshore drilling, with the ridiculous pardons, all of that to me speaks that they are trying to ensure that they can say that Biden's legacy is an extension of Obama's, which is a completely perverted other world of anything and completely antithetical to American values. But that's what they're trying to do. So I do think it'll be interesting to see whether that works 4 years from now as they try to curry the votes of the extreme far left to say, well, look, this is what he did during his office, which really is the last month of his office.
Jason, what Emily said is very important, that Biden believes he could have beaten Trump. And I do agree with that. Wall Street Journal had 50 sources, 50, and they talked about pollsters being kept away from Biden. And this part stands out. This was in a summer meeting. Democratic insiders became alarmed by the way Biden described his polling, publicly characterizing the race as a toss-up when polls released in the weeks after the disastrous June debate consistently showed Trump ahead. They worried he wasn't getting an unvarnished look at his standing in the race. They kept him in a cocoon.
Yeah.
Well, he's just delusional. I mean, my opinion, he's just delusional. If he thinks that Kamala Harris would have beaten Trump, but for what? He spent more than 40% of his time away from the White House. Doing what? And the long-term problem here for Democrats is they're void of ideas. Their ideas failed. They were wrong on everything. They were wrong on crime and immigration, on the foreign policy. And I think Joe Biden is going to take 2 speeches this week, at least read a teleprompter, to try to gaslight and rewrite history, to try to frame it in such a way that really isn't a reflection of reality.
Yeah.
So I predict that those Democrats who are trying to help him with his legacy are going to forget all about him and take credit for whatever leanings happen at the end of his career here. I do think that. As time passes and he's not around to say, no, I did that. No, I did that. All of these others are going to say, well, we pushed him to do this at the end as they begin to take, podiums and lecterns across the country running for offices. I would say this. Anybody who believes anything coming out of that man's mouth has to remember that Russia's President Putin certainly did not believe that he was making a minor incursion when he invaded Ukraine, which is what Biden told him not to do. Iran did not care that Biden said don't when it came to hitting Israel. It did. Now, Israel is very capable of defending itself, and it did. They were back and forth for a while. Nobody listens to Biden, not our enemies, and that's important.
Yeah, my favorite is history will smile upon Joe Biden. That's what the aides say. I think it's going to be a frown, but we will see.
Hey everyone, I'm Emily Campagno. Catch me and my co-hosts Harris Faulkner and Kaylee McEnany on Outnumbered every weekday at 12 p.m. Eastern, or set your DVR. Also, don't forget to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page for daily highlights.